Over to you, sir.
Welcome all the delegates. Welcome the doctors and the participants for today's experience sharing program. This experience sharing program is brought to you by Hetero Healthcare. Hetero Healthcare, we are 25 years of excellence with 36 state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities, 300 plus products in our portfolio, and presence in more than 126 countries with 21,000 employees globally. Hetero Healthcare is one of the largest closely held pharmaceutical companies in India, with among the largest manufacturers of ARV, APIs, and FDFs in the world. Moreover, Hetero Healthcare has Asia's largest API manufacturing at Visakhapatnam, Andhra Pradesh. Hetero Healthcare provides 360-degree solution provider striving to fulfill unmet healthcare needs, reaching to customers across India with wide product range encompassing multiple specialties and pioneering in quality and innovation. Hetero Healthcare has the distinction of bringing 4 biosimilar products to market within 5 years of initiation. With this, today we welcome once again to all of you for our case studies from the labor room and the experience with Carbetocin with Dr. Mohd Shafi sir and Dr. Bashrat Shaban sir.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Mohd Shafi sir, he is MBBS MD in obstetrics and gynecology with over 15 years of experience in OBG. Dr. Bashrat Shaban sir is an anesthetist, a specialist from Pulwama, Kashmir. With this, I would like to hand over the session, sir, to Mohd Shafi, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Boss. I welcome all of our participants, my co-speaker, Dr. Bashar Shaban, and
Thank you, sir.
all of you. My greetings to you. Today, we will be having a brief and comprehensive review of first postpartum hemorrhage. Postpartum hemorrhage, as we know, is... Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Postpartum hemorrhage, which we can say, as we have mentioned, it is a daunting, not only daunting, a haunting experience for an obstetrician and a nightmare for an obstetrician. Not for patient only, it's a very dangerous and this what we can say daunting experience for an obstetrician. No obstetrician wishes to go through it in any of the times of his life. So if we see the global burden of this problem, what is the... can you share the screen, next screen, please? Mr. Bosch? Hello?
Yes, sir. Sharing, sir.
You please share the next screen.
Through screen if you can. No, cursor.
It's not displaying.
So one minute.
So I think first slide will be about the definition of this postpartum hemorrhage. If we define postpartum hemorrhage, conventionally we define it as a loss of more than 500 ml of blood during a normal vaginal delivery or more than 1000 ml of blood during cesarean section. But the loss and the effect, it depends upon the initial condition of the patient. You can have a patient with low hemoglobin, already a low hemoglobin, or you can have a patient with low hemodynamic status. You are getting a patient in from periphery to your central hospital, then you are getting this definition is not valid, where you wait for 500 ml loss of blood or 1000 ml loss of blood. Even a small amount of even a loss of small amount of blood, only 200 300 ml of blood can jeopardize the patient's condition. So PPH definition, this is a conventional definition, but we have to individualize it. We have to individualize the definition. So Next, if we see the global burden of this problem, that is almost this problem contributes significantly to the maternal mortality rate globally and especially in developing countries. If we see the maternal mortality rate in developed countries where we have only 15 or 16 deaths per 1 lakh births per 1 lakh these live births, but in India, we have more than if we can say all of the developing countries, we have almost 240 deaths per this. These are the this is MMR in total. But a significant contribution, the most important factor is postpartum hemorrhage. Mr. Ghosh, can you share the screens? Can you share slides? Hello? Is there a problem with sharing?
So is my screen visible?
You are visible to me, but your screen is not visible.
Shai Shikha, can you check, please? What is the...
Sir, everything is clear, sir.
So my screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's not visible.
So is my screen visible to you, sir? Dr. Safi, sir?
No. Yeah, no, it is no. It is now gone.
I'll stop sharing. I'll reshare 1 minute.
Okay.
Is it visible now, sir?
Yeah. Yeah, it is visible now. Shall I continue?
Yes, please.
So we were discussing about this very unfortunate event that happens in a woman's life or an obstetrician's life. This we're discussing about its effects, the maternal mortality. The leading cause of maternal mortality is this postpartum hemorrhage. About 35% of all maternal deaths are contributed by this. And then we have the type of delivery. If we have more cases of PPH we encounter in after cesarean delivery because uterus doesn't get enough time to accommodate this. There's almost a sudden release of these contents from the uterus, and uterus gets less time to acclimatize, and we have more cases of PPH in cesarean section as compared to the this um, vaginal deliveries.
Normal vaginal.
Hello, am I audible to you all?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. So you can move the screen now. You can share another screen now, another slide now. There's an issue with network, I think.
So is it visible to you, sir?
Yes, it is visible, but it is not moving.
Okay, should I move ahead?
So may I help? Viva, sir?
Saichika, just 2 minutes. I think there's some technical challenge. So, 2 minutes, we are resuming.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yeah,
Yeah.
Dr. Shafi, can we continue?
Yeah. There was some technical problem on my side only. I'm sorry for that.
No, absolutely fine,
There
sir.
are some network issues. Yeah.
Okay. Shall we continue, sir? The slides are visible to you, sir?
Yes.
Yes, you can move the slides now.
Okay, fine. So this slide was last. So shall I move one?
Yeah. You can. I'm sorry for this much of.
No, fine, sir. Yes.
So, if we talk of the most common cause of this postpartum hemorrhage, that is an atonicity of the uterus. Uterus atonicity is very first reason for this, and there are so many risk factors for an atonic uterus. Like we have an over-distended uterus with all of us know with multifetal pregnancies or polyhydramnios, or we have good-sized babies in diabetic patients or constitutionally large babies we can have, or we can have multiple gestation is what we call grand multis, more than 3 or 4 deliveries who have undergone more than 3 or 4 pregnancies. Then their uterus also is a potential threat for atonicity. Then other causes like coagulopathies and trauma, that is not our concern today. We are discussing the atonic. We will be discussing atonic uterus only. So you can move the slide. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So these are the clinical findings we can classify. This is a classification of the shock. Actually, we can classify shock on this basis: how much amount of blood has lost, what are the clinical findings, like clinical symptoms and signs, that by which we can judge how to which patient, individualize the category of patient is, how to manage them. So Presently, we are discussing PPH with respect to its prevention. So this is not of our concern at present. We can move ahead. Here we have an approach towards postpartum hemorrhage. The first and foremost approach should be we should never wait for postpartum hemorrhage to happen. We should always get this predict in patients. So it is though it is an unpredictable event. Many a times it is an unpredictable event. You can never predict it exactly, but most of the times it is predictable. We have higher groups of patients, and we can attempt to identify those women and their we can the cold chain maintenance of the cold chain. Oxytocin needed this storage at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade temperature, but our cold chain in our setting is not always reliable. Though the machine may be reliable, but the people running that at times may not be reliable. Cold chain is very important, and that doesn't give an effect then. So there was a new innovation in this heat stable carbetocin with certain changes in the chemical changes in the this carbetocin. Then we got a heat stable carbetocin where we don't need any refrigeration, where we do not need to rely on cold chain. So it avoids the need for a cold chain storage and any other logic, and its shelf life was increased almost almost 36 months. Some books mention 36 months. Here we have mentioned 24 months only. Some books mention up to at 32 degrees centigrade, it can be stored for up to 36 months without without this harm. So this was a major advantage which we got with heat stable carbetocin formulation. We can move ahead now. This is the use of uterotonic agents. As I already told you that we have to prevent this postpartum hemorrhage. For that very important stage of labor, that is the third stage of labor. Management of third stage of labor is very important. And during management of third stage of labor, we used to give oxytocin 10 units intramuscular before the delivery of anterior shoulder. But nowadays we are gradually we are shifting towards carbetocin because of its these advantages which we have just now discussed regarding its shelf life, regarding its storage, regarding its continuous this maintenance of continuous tonicity of the uterus, and there is no need for addition of further uterotonics, and there is no need for a continuous infusion of oxytocin now, which would result in a continuous infusion of oxytocin, which all of us are experiencing now. We were experiencing uh, those convulsions, postpartum convulsions in post-op wards without having PIH or eclampsia in patients. Then when we discussed these patients, then we came to a conclusion that a continuous infusion of oxytocin, which causes the fluid overload in the patient, fluid retention in the patient, that can lead to electrolyte imbalances, and patients can have convulsions postpartum. So this was another advantage of carbetocin. Carbetocin has, though it also causes fluid retention, but not to that extent which that is caused by the oxytocin. And carbetocin has been, in some studies, they are claiming that it is having some an amount of diuretic effect here. So we can move ahead. You can share the next slide, please. So here we have oxytocin and carbetocin. There are few small chemical changes in this, which has increased its half-life, and its enzymatic degradation has been reduced. And these are the advantages. And we can store the drug. It is a long-acting synthetic analog, and we can prevent postpartum hemorrhage by this because it is for the prevention purposes. Then we can move ahead. We can move the slide. These are some very important, what we can say, differentiating features between oxytocin, or a comparison we can make out of it between oxytocin and heat stable carbetocin. Though Oxytocin is a 9 amino acid peptide. We know, all of us know, that is naturally occurring from posterior pituitary, synthesized in posterior pituitary. So it is synthesized in hypothalamus and then secreted in the posterior pituitary. So mechanism of action, both of them bind to oxytocin receptors. And that, I think we need not to discuss that in detail. We have gone through that in chemistry, in biochemistry and physiology. Now we can share this. The only advantage with oxytocin we have now at present is that we can use it as an augmenting agent or an inducing agent in labor. Though carbetocin cannot be used in those conditions, you should be aware of that, because that can lead to rupture of uterus even if we give it for an augmentation, or because it causes sustained this uterine contraction, because its half-life is almost uh, five to six
40
times
minutes.
5 to 6 times more than that of oxytocin. 40 minutes almost. And now both oxytocin and heat stable carbetocin can be used in treatment of BPH. That is the common thing they are sharing. But carbetocin, heat stable carbetocin, obviously has gained over oxytocin in this factor. For other reasons, carbetocin cannot be used. So we can move ahead. These are some what we can say in this WHO champion trial, or there are so many studies where WHO has recommended use of carbetocin, though FDA has not approved its use as yet in USA. I think it is now available, and it is now used in almost more than 75 to 80 countries worldwide, including UK, Canada, Australia, India. Most of the developed countries are using it. This carbetocin, I think we are very fortunate to have it in India also. So these studies have proven that carbetocin is not inferior to oxytocin, in except for those reasons that it cannot be used as an inducing or an augmenting agent. But the primary concern is here to prevent postpartum hemorrhage. There it has gained over oxytocin. Please, next slide, please. So almost all trials have shown that though there wasn't a significant decrease in loss of blood amount of blood loss in PPH with carbetocin, but with carbetocin and oxytocin, if we compare them. But if we see other advantages, the advantage while using carbetocin, it causes the sustained contraction of the uterus. We need not to give bolus doses because of its increased half-life. We need not to give repeated doses, or we need not to give infusions. So the need for those infusions is not there now. So we can say that carbetocin, the frequencies of and frequency of expected and adverse effects also do not differ significantly between the two groups. But we have other advantages of carbetocin that we have to exploit now. We can exploit now for the prevention of this postpartum hemorrhage. You can move ahead. Cochrane review, we know Cochrane is a very reliable and an institution for who review without any bias all those studies which are done worldwide. They have also reviewed data from 11 studies, including involving these many women, more than 2,000 women, for women who have undergone a cesarean section. It resulted in a statistically significant reduction in the need for therapeutic uterotonic compared to oxytocin. Carbetocin is also associated with less blood loss compared to symptomatrin. It has also advantage over this ergot alkaloids or misoprostol, which we are using as a second line agent, or even carboprost, prostaglandins. It has advantage over prostaglandins even. You can move ahead. Please move ahead. Mr. Ghosh, please move ahead. So as I already told you that WHO has already recommended use of carbetocin as an uterotonic agent in prophylaxis of the PPH. There are other studies for carbetocin like SOGC Canada or other in Germany, in France, all have done. FIGO in India, in this international in this union, this has also recommended use of carbetocin for PPH management or prophylaxis. So dose, we all know that 100 microgram of carbetocin is given. We usually give it in a diluted form over 2 to 3 minutes or 5 minutes. So, or we can use it IV bolus or intramuscular for sustained effect. I have shared one of my experiences in this, that we had a patient in this post-op ward who had repeated episodes of atonicity. Then we finally used carbetocin, which helped us because we used it as intramuscular dose of carbetocin. One of our technicians told us that I have a good experience with this, and we used the carbetocin in intramuscular in thigh. We gave it in thigh, and that had a prolonged effect, and we could we could avoid the use of further infusions or further actions to be taken. You can go ahead. This is I am sharing case one. We had a patient, gravid 8, para 5, obviously a grand multipara, and she had two more risk factors, the polyhydramnios and a good sized baby. There were three risk factors. So we were already she had already also previous history of atonic PPH. So we were already having all those risk factors. It was a high risk, very high risk patient, and doing at a low resource setting. We could only rely on carbetocin. Then we told our anesthetist to give carbetocin only. We once the delivery of the head was there, had then we used carbetocin, intravenous carbetocin we used, and there was almost negligible bleeding in that patient. It was a very that we can say wonderful effect of this carbetocin that day we have seen, because we were expecting a very bad event in happening. You can move ahead for next case study. I had shared here. This was a patient with previous one LSS with no significant any other risk factor. Only she had low HB. We had to do an emergency LSS on this patient. The placenta took some time to separate as a part of the uterus. The right cornea of the uterus was atonic, and placenta was probably held there. It was not an adherent placenta, morbidly adherent placenta, but that part of the uterus was atonic. Dr. Basharat can understand it, because all the obstetricians here can understand that usually a part of the uterus, mostly these corneal ends of the uterus remain atonic. So as we give carbetocin, and placenta got separated. Another patient here where we had an atonic PPH. We had not used carbetocin. Instead, we had started an oxytocin drip. Patient developed atonic PPH in post-op ward, which just now I shared with you. We gave an intramuscular injection of carbetocin at the request of one of our anesthesia technicians. He had some experience with this, and uterus then became atonic, and then there was no further action needed. We needed not to add further doses of oxytocin or any other uterotonic. Carbetocin helped us here. Next, please.
Sir, now, sir, we would like to take few frequently asked questions that we have received over the this session. So the first panel question is, sir, what is the benefit of using carbetocin as first line drug to prevent PPH? What is your experience, sir, overall?
Carbetocin, if we talk of benefits, I think the first and foremost benefit is that it is we have discussed it. It is heat stability. We have discussed it. It is effect. Effect is not. It is not. It is you this pharmacokinetics is not affected by heat or any other adverse conditions, temperature changes. So it is for that matter, it is very stable. Yeah, this. Then when we use in a patient, if we compare it with oxytocin, the first and foremost thing is that it is effect in effect starts very instantaneously. Second, its effect then lasts for a longer time. That there are it can first causes sustained uterine contractions for almost we need not add any these any more these oxytocins, or we can say utrotonicus, for almost 24 hours. You can even rely on it for almost 24 hours. You need not add any further these, because there are disadvantages of a continuous oxytocin infusion that I have just told you. I have just discussed that with continuous oxytocin infusion there can be or with bolus infusions, there can be hypotension. Though with carbetocin also we can have hypotensive effects, but not to that extent which we are experiencing with oxytocin, because oxytocin even causes fluid retention also. Antidiuretic effect is there. Then that causes fluid retention. Fluid retention causes in turn electrolyte imbalance. Then even patients can have convulsions and all that. That jeopardizes our this post-op ward. We are then very much busy with managing those. Some people then uh, doubt that patient was having that thing or this thing. It was patient was having preeclampsia, eclampsia, or something like that. But we have come to know that continuous infusion of oxytocin has resulted in those events. And carbetocin has definitely given us an advantage that we need not to add further infusions of oxytocin. We need not to overburden the patient with oxytocin.
Yes, sir. Dr. Bashrat Saban, sir, would you like to
Thanks.
add something, sir, or your experience overall to this point, sir?
Shafi sir, as Shafi sir has already discussed about the advantages of carbetocin over oxytocin. The major advantage is that by using carbetocin, we don't need to give multiple doses of oxytocin, because oxytocin is short acting, T half is very short, about around 10 minutes. Instead of giving multiple doses of oxytocin and giving infusions, infusion usually, for my experience, it causes bradycardias, it causes arrhythmias, even if it causes hypotension by continuous infusion. So instead of avoiding these arrhythmias, we use carbetocin, as carbetocin is fast acting and it has a longer duration of action. Roughly around, case half life is around 40 minutes, and it causes sustained contraction for around 24 hours. So for the management of PPH, it is not recommended as such, but for the prevention of PPH, it is highly recommended in high risk patients, patients with polyhydramnios, patients with multigravidas, patients having previous history of atonic uterus. Carbetocin is a wonder drug.
Yes. I'll move on to the second question, sir. Sir, what is the patient profile where doctors can anticipate PPH? Or, is it so, can it
Yes, yes,
easily
as,
be differentiated?
as already discussed by Shafi sir, patients with polyhydramnios, patients with multigravidas, patients having twins or multifetal pregnancies, these are high risk patients. These are where we can anticipate these uterus go into PPH.
Atonic
These are
PPH.
already factors. Yes.
Atonic PPH, where we can have atonicity of the uterus, which is the most very foremost cause of the PPH. So patient profile, I have already discussed it. We have the grand multis. We have the polyhydramnios. We can have those good size babies, what we call good size babies, more than 4.2 kgs babies, or we can have other causes for this. We are having twins or triplets, multifetal pregnancies. Those are the very common high risk factors for atonic PPH. Then we have other causes of PPH also. We can have coagulopathies in a patient. We can have those what we call as retained reproductus, morbidly adherent placenta. Placenta is not completely removed, so that patient can have PPH. Though PPH is a postpartum hemorrhage, it has primary and secondary causes also. Though we are discussing mostly atonic PPH, and we can always and we can most of the times anticipate or predict that this patient can have PPH, so we should be handy with these things. But many a times it is an unpredictable. I already told you, unpredictable, haunting, daunting, and taunting event for a obstetrician.
Exactly. Right. It's a very, very difficult to actually predict, even, sometimes in
Um,
normal cases also,
yeah,
never know. Yeah.
yeah, it's
So
very
I'm
dangerous.
just moving on to the third question. Can we use carbetocin, sir, in Rh negative mothers?
There are so we have most of the times we don't have any contraindications for this, but some people say we should avoid because there is a like ergometrin we avoid for a reason that there is more squeezing of the blood from the uterus or this blood that causes feto-maternal exchange of blood. Some studies I have seen that they are advising against using carbetocin in Rh negative mothers.
Okay.
So,
That's it. So your take on this, sir, Dr. Bashir Saban, sir?
Rh negative means it can be safely given as such there is no contraindication because PPH is always, as already discussed, is always a burst and haunting experience. So there is no logic of Rh negative or this. We can safely use carbetocin in Rh negative mothers as well.
Right. So the next question is, doctors generally use oxytocin in using for labor induction. So in such scenario, can a doctor use carbetocin for prevention of PPH? Since both are acting on the same receptor.
this is a question for me. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, if you use oxytocin as an agent for labor induction and augmentation, if there is a prolonged labor, if there is a prolonged labor, as we know, the oxytocin occupies same receptors. Those are occupied by carbetocin, but the half-life of oxytocin is very short. It's very short. Its duration of action and its half-life is very short. It is cleared from the blood uh, very quickly. Then if we are going in, if we are anticipating in these patients even prolonged labor, we are anticipating postpartum hemorrhage. We can use carbetocin there because the half-life of oxytocin is very less. Carbetocin can take those receptors then.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
So anything you would like to add, sir, Dr. Bashir, sir?
No, thank you.
I'll just. So in which cases would you prefer IV route or IM route? Any preference as such, sir? Dr. Safi, sir?
This is preference of IV or IM route. Preference of IV or IM route. Usually we prefer IV route. We give it most of the times we give it through IV bolus, slow infusion. We dilute it in 4 ml of or 5 ml of normal saline. Then we give it slowly over 2 to 3 minutes. Then we prefer it almost all, in all cases. There is no significant this. But if we have some, for example, we need to have a prolonged effect of this. Only in those cases we can give an intramuscular injection or prolonged release of the drug, so that its effect is prolonged.
Dr. Bashir Shaban, sir, I think your comments on this. What?
Yes, yes. Actually, we as an anesthetist, we most often use it by intravenous use, because whenever there is PPH and OT, so the best and preferred route is IV. So we use 100 micrograms in something somewhere around 5 to 10 ml of normal saline over 1 or 2 minutes, and it has instant action instead of preventing PPH. But if we will give it by intramuscular, it will take larger time. So IV route is preferred over IM.
Right, sir. So, have how well is carbetocin tolerated?
If we select patients properly, there are some patients, for example, if patient is having some underlying cardiac disease, well established cardiac disease or preeclampsia, eclampsia history, in those patients, we usually avoid carbetocin. So if we if the patient selection is very important, and most of the times carbetocin is well tolerated.
Right.
Yeah.
So, if patient is not responding adequately with carbetocin, then in order of preference, which additional uretonics would you prefer to use, sir?
Then I think logically we should then move ahead, because we have already taken charge from oxytocin. Then we should move ahead with other uterotonic, second line uterotonics, like usually repeat doses of carbetocin are not recommended, because it has already a very long half life, and it can I just told you that it can give you this tonicity for even up to 36 of 24 hours. But then if this drug has failed, maybe there is some inherent problem with the receptor, or there is a problem with then second messengers which we are dealing with. Then we can move on to ergot alkaloids or prostaglandins.
Nice. Dr. Bashir, your line of action during such
Second line,
situation?
these are methyl or methogen, methyl ergometine.
Mhm.
Then third line is carboprost.
Right.
Yeah.
So, what are the advantages of carbetocin over other uretonics? I think this is already discussed, already
Yeah.
been
Already
told that.
discussed longer duration of action.
Yes, right. So I'll just move on. Should carbetocin be kept as reserve drug, or it should be used as a first line, sir, in prevention of BPH?
I think keeping everything in view, or the only disadvantage with carbetocin at present is its cost. That is the only disadvantage over oxytocin. That's the only disadvantage. Oxytocin is gaining there only with this carbetocin. But keeping then, if we take cost effectiveness, not only cost, then cost effectiveness of carbetocin, and keeping that in view, I think I would prefer to take carbetocin as a first line drug now, because we need not to store it that way. We need not to rely on those chains, and it is in the onset of action, it is half life, heat stability, everything is now with us. Why not exploit those things? And it maybe with time it may be available in hospitals and government hospitals on this. Okay.
Right. So to conclude, what is your overall experience of using carbetocin? Or I might say, sir, what should be the take-home message? Maybe from both of you, sir. What should be the take-home message for the participants here, who are attending this session and experience, gaining the experience of yours? So.
I can tell you that I am using carbetocin for last almost 2.5 or 3 years now. I'm using this carbetocin. So my experience with using carbetocin is that we are feeling safer now with carbetocin. If you have a carbetocin ampule with your anesthetist and you are going for a cesarean section, or you are going for a normal vaginal delivery, your technician is having we ask, Do you have a Carbetocin in store, or have you asked for a Carbetocin ampule from patient? If it is around, we feel safe. So Carbetocin should be now used as a first line drug. This is my experience with Carbetocin. We feel safe with Carbetocin now.
Right, sir.
Because it has certainly reduced the incidence of postpartum hemorrhage, atonicity of the uterus, atonic postpartum hemorrhage, or retention of placenta. It has certainly given us an advantage now.
Right.
Certainly, we were facing cases of atonicity, atonic PPH, not that frequent, but even if in 1 month, if we were facing 1 or 2 cases of atonicity, now I think we hardly face a case of, if we use Carbetocin on routine basis, we hardly face a case of atonicity in 2 or 3 months. Yes, it is a fact.
Right. Dr. Bashrat Shaban sir, your take-home message to the audience, sir.
Exactly. The PPH due to atonic uterus that has dramatically reduced by the use of carbetocin. Now carbetocin is readily available even in our hospitals. Government hospital is readily available, and the incidence of postpartum hemorrhage has drastically reduced by the use of carbetocin. Instead of managing the complications later on, we give this carbetocin for prophylaxis, so it has drastically reduced the PP.
Right, so with this, thank you so very much to both of you for taking time out and sharing your experiences.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
We'll conclude the meeting here.
Thank you so much. Good night.
Yes.
Good night, and do share experiences with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks a lot once. Thank you, Dr. Bashrat Saban, sir.
Thank you.
For taking out time and attending this particular
Dr. Basharat, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. And
okay, sir. Love is.
Thanks to Hitiro that they had arranged an eye-to-eye meeting for Dr. Basharat and Dr. Shafi. We were.
Yes. Yeah, the IT team, you can end the meeting now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir. Love